Okay, the second story. White ladies and headless ghosts. A common ghostly vision is the drifting white form, bedazzling and translucent. Shropshire has plenty of white ladies. The White Lady of Hell near Titterstone Clee emerges at night and, wringing her hands, goes to the place where she witnessed her son Richard being murdered. All that remains is a blood stain on the floor which she anxiously paces around. There was a gray lady at Badger Hall who would appear at Christmas dances. She would try to speak to stunned dancers there, pleading and begging in dreamlike torment. The discovery of a jewelry box seemed to appease her, and she can now rest. Bridge North boasts a black lady, too. This tragic character haunts a building at the bottom of the cartway. If you peer into the garden of what is now a bar, there are two busts of a little boy and girl there. Long ago, these children were playing hide and seek in the cellar of the house. As they hid and waited, a sudden flood warning was given when the river Severn burst its banks. The mother thought the children had run on ahead with their father, and so she locked the house and raced up the cartway to escape the rising tide. She was mistaken. The children were still playing their game when the water began to pour in through the cellar window. They made their way up the cellar steps, but were too small to reach the door handle, and there they perished. By the time the mother discovered that her children were missing, it was too late. The two statues were carved to the children's memories, and the poor grief-stricken ghost of a mother replays her frantic search in her black, shadowy form on dark nights up and down the cartway. That was kind of a short one. Next one's called White Lady of Longhorn. Make it a doubleheader, might as well, right? Along the road to Lebotwood, there is a pool known locally as Black Pool. It is said to be bottomless. Generations of parents have warned their children of the dangers of skating and sliding upon it in the frozen winter. There was once a beautiful young woman who lived at Longnor. On a crisp, bright winter's day, she chose to ignore the warnings of her mother. She took her skates and stole off down to the pool to join her boyfriend to dance and skate beneath the blue sky and the icy winter sunshine. They were young and in love. They were going to live forever. We have all thought that, haven't we? They twirled and danced together, hearts warmed by love and faces hot from kisses. Suddenly there was an echoing crack. Instantly a fault line in the ice shot across the pond. A narrow hole opened up directly under the girl's feet. Down she fell, straight out of the arms of her lover and into the water below. The young man tried in vain to reach his girl, smashing at the ice with his skates. Then he lay flat on his belly, reaching his arms through the ice hole, trying to grasp her. Finally, a face floated up and appeared through the thick ice window. They exchanged one last chilly kiss through the glaze before she sank down for a last time, leaving the boy weeping with ice melting on his lips. It was said that her ghost would rise up from the bottom and wander through the village, and on cold nights she would whisper warnings through children's windows and locks not to go skating on the pond. You would feel a sudden thin draught of air cut across the room, and that would be her. Many years later, there was a young man named Hughes who told how he was out poaching in the full moon. He came to cross the narrow bridge at Longnor Brook when he saw a young woman approaching the other end. In the moonlight, she looked so beautiful, and he decided to sneak up and play a trick on her. He slunk back and hid in the shadows, hearing her light tread on the bridge. He jumped out and went to clasp his arms around her waist to steal a kiss. His arms clasped around nothing, thin air. The ghost of the young girl walked right through him and continued on her way. The young man hurried to the pub where his glimmering shock was enough to convince listeners there that he had been properly spooked. Sometime afterwards, there was a village dance in a place where everybody knew everybody. These were simple matchmaking occasions, with rumored mongers and gossipers at the ready to stir up scandal in a moment. So there was a great buzz of excitement that night when a stranger turned up to dance. She had a bewitching beauty, mysterious elegance, and was dressed all in white. She joined in, but would only dance in a ring and never be held for a partner dance. She entranced everybody on that night, including a fellow named Jack. He was usually one of those who hugged the fringes of the dance floor like a nervous child clings to its mother's skirts. He was clumsy and heavy-footed, yet on that night he was compelled to step out onto the floor and dance at the stranger's side all night long. He amazed himself with the lightness and rhythm that he found in his feet. Each move and turn that his neighbor made seemed to spin out a web dangling round Jack and binding him up in her bewitchment, until at midnight she slipped away as quietly as she had arrived. When she left, Jack could do nothing else but follow her. It was as if he was being dragged by a strong, invisible thread. Wide-eyed and gaping-mouthed, he followed the woman as she walked along the lane and far from the lights of the dance. With Jack still trailing behind, she picked up a path across the field towards the pond. Jack's arms were stretched out in front of him, and he begged, just one kiss, as he helplessly followed her like a sleepwalker. At Blackpool's edge, she didn't hesitate for a moment, but continued into the water. Her dress swirled around her as she faded from view, enveloped by the water lapping round her waist, her chest, her neck, her head, until she completely disappeared. Jack trailed into the water behind her and suddenly let out a shriek as he came to his senses. It was so cold. The spell was broken, and he found himself waist deep in freezing pond water. Standing dumbstruck, his arms foolishly embracing his own shaking shoulders, the young man realized that he had been charmed by the White Lady of Longhorn. She stalks about on chilly nights, entrancing young men and inviting them to dance with her on the thin ice of the heart. Very interesting part. The interesting part, I think, is when the guy tries to get the ghost and tries to grab the ghost and realizes nothing's there. Because it's kind of like, yeah, you're just going to grab a lady at night. I don't know about that. Um, yeah, but that was his plan, but it turned out to be a ghost. That was kind of a good turn on the story, right? That it wasn't a real person. Dude, artwork's pretty cool, too. So I guess these two are out ice skating, and the girl fell in a hole, and then she came up one last time and got to see her one last time before she sank. Um, yeah, so those are two stories. I guess I'll just finish the video now.